Welcome back from the break. We were having a discussion with Maulana Syed Amin Jafri on the topic Usuluddin. Sorry Maulana, but I forgot to ask you a question. I just directly skipped to Tawheed. I wanted to ask you, what are Usuluddin? Basically, why are they created? What's their importance? We do namaz, we do roza, but why is it Usuluddin just need to be there?
Ahsan, very good question. Basically, whenever you create any system, you have to have some basic rules to follow so you can stick with your objective. If you're going somewhere and you have a destination in mind, you have to have a map plan, which roads you're going to take. You create a company, you have to have a product and objective to sell it.
Yes.
Just like that, if you're creating a system, suppose we live in Canada and somebody lives in China, somebody lives in Russia, somebody lives in Pakistan, somebody lives in Saudi Arabia, somebody lives in Iran. Every country has different system to run their countries and their national issues.
Different rules.
Rules, mashallah. So those rules should be based on something. Islam itself is a system. It's a very deep and simpler system though. For any system we need, just like this house, this place, or any building, you got to have foundation, you got to have pillars, sutoon, and then you build the house. Similarly, any system, even physical or non-physical, you must have some rules to follow. Doctrine, or in Urdu we call it Ain, Manshur, rules, regulations, but you got to have a main theme behind it, main doctrine. So Islam or any other religion has to have that as well. And this is where usul actually is the plural word. Usul means origins, basics, basis. So asal is basically singular, usul is plural. So we have 5 origin, doctrines, pillars, sutoon, usul, whatever you want to name or whatever makes you comfortable.
Just like a building can't be built without a base.
Of course, you have to dig, you have to create pillars, then you create walls and whatnot, you all know that. So then you create the building, and then if you have a building that is very high, the higher the building, the deeper you have to dig to create the solid foundation. So according to Islam, we have to have 5 usuluddin. We must believe in those usuls. We must believe in the doctrine. And based on that, the entire system that you on daily basis you follow actually is Islam. When you say I fast in Mahr Ramadan, when you say I pray 5 times a day, I do azadari in Muharram or other days, I do this, I do Hajj, I pay zakat, I pay khums. Why? On top of all this, you have usuluddin. Based on that, just like in other countries, you pay taxes. Why do you pay taxes? Because country needs to run according to financial needs. And then those finances would build roads, hospitals, policing, and all that. So similarly, Islam also has main rules that would go underneath the furu'at of the deen.
Okay. Now, going back to Tawheed, where last time I asked you, why is there not more than one God? And you gave me a wonderful and spectacular answer. But now, I must ask you, if we cannot see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how do we know that He exists?
Ahsan, very good question. And question is actually the key to the knowledge. Question could be very small, but answer could be very big. When you say, this is a huge place, how do we get in? We need a key. Key is very small, but the house is big. So to enter into this huge house, or even a big city used to be keys to the cities. Key could be small. So question is very important thing. And this is a very basic, small, but very important question. How couldn't we see? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Nazir. And one of his name is Nazir. How couldn't we see him? So before even we get into this, there are 5 pillars in Islam. Okay? Tawheed, Nabuwwat, Adl, Qayamat and Imamat. And we must know these 5 pillars. When we talk about taqleed of a marji taqleed, a mujtahid, in taqleed, we only follow mujtahid for furu-e-deen, ahkam, rules, laws. But in usul, there's no taqleed. We must have the understanding of our own level of usul-e-deen. So this is something on the side to make sure that we understand 5 usul.
Yes.
1, we must understand usul-e-deen on our own, not marji taqleed. We can use marji taqleed's research and
Yes,
tahqiq
but we should understand it on our own.
on our own IQ level, on own understanding, age, experience, education. So we must know Tawheed, we must know Nabuwwat, we must know Adl, we must know Qayamat, we must know Imamat. To an extent, at your age, my elders' age. So this is, that should be also clearly understood. 5 pillars, we must know them. Marja taqleed won't do anything, can get help. But once we leave this world, as I said, we have to leave, everybody has to leave. We'll be asked these questions from Munkir Nakir in the qabr and then eventually at the day of judgment.
Yes.
So, getting back to the question, how can we see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala?
And how do we know that He exists?
Ahsan, very good, very good. When we talk about seeing, our concept of seeing things related to vision, vision means eyes. When your eyes cannot see something, it does not mean that thing, that object, that objective does not exist. As we understand air, okay, air can be measured, but once we see the lot of things, we cannot see see the viruses. You wake up in the morning, you're healthy, you're fine. You go to the school, you go to the classroom, you come back, you have flu. How did you get the flu? You didn't see the virus. The virus transferred into your body from one of your classmates or schoolmate. So seeing does not mean, or not seeing does not mean things do not exist. 1. As I mentioned in the early part of our discussion, our physical being is dependent on 5 senses. And one of them is vision. So if we do not see, we cannot see certain things, it doesn't mean. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can be seen, understood, felt through our soul. That's the only option we have in this scenario. You cannot see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from this vision, from these eyes. Me and you are normal people. When we see Masoom, Hazrat Musa alayhi salatu wassalam, when he requested to be, to witness Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with these, he could not. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said impossible. So we cannot, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala exists, and this is one of the beliefs that you see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, some God, some Allah, that is not seen by these eyes.
Just like air, for example. We can't see air, but we can feel it. But even though we can't see air, we know that it exists. And in the same case, it's also Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Hassan. And similarly, when we say Allah, if we see something, that means that object is limited to that area. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not limited. So if you see something here, that means it doesn't exist there. It doesn't exist there on the other parts of the world. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not murakkab, is not compound, is not made of multiple things. Is unique ahad. So this is one of the reasons you cannot see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from these eyes.
Now, moving on to the next question. I have to ask, we do ibadat, we do worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but there are also angels. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made angels to worship Him. There are a lot of angels, they all have different jobs. But some of the angels have a job to worship to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala create us when He could have created angels to worship Him?
Ahsan, good question. Basically, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is beniyaz. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not. Allahu samad, lam yalid walam yulad, walam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. Allahu samad, meaning Allah does not need us to worship Him. Allah does not even need angels to worship Him. Allah has nothing to do with our worship. It's He who gave us favor by creating us. We never existed. He gave us favor by creating us. This creation we never deserved. We never deserved. He gave us favor and saying, pray me, do my ibadat, become my abd. And it's for our well-being. It has nothing to do with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We pray or we do not pray, Allah is still there. Creator is still there. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is still there. Lot of people on this planet, most of the people actually do not worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the same Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala we worship. So that's not for Him. That's for us, number one. Number two is He created us as the unique, most perfect khalqat, most perfect creation. Ashraful makhlooq, meaning we are the best of the best. We are the ultimate. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has even said that I am proud of my product. This thing I have created as human being we call, I am proud of it. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, number one, gave us the favor. He does not need any ibadat. Quran also says all your ibadat would be thrown onto your face once you come back. There's no need for, I do not need your ibadat. This to excel you in this life and afterlife. So basically, we are created for ibadat, and it's a favor He gave us. And there were angels. Of course, there would be angels. He could create many angels. He created us, and it's for our well-being, basically.
Thank you, Maulana, for your answers and your insight on those questions. Unfortunately, brothers and sisters, that's all the time we had for today. If you have any questions or queries you would like me to discuss with our Maulana, you can send them or email them or contact us on WhatsApp or call us. All the email address and the number will be displayed on the screen right now, and you can contact us on this. And we will continue the discussion next time.